Hey guys, I'm here in my basement ready for some story time. We're going to do it a little bit differently today. Instead of just a fiction story that we just enjoy and we listen to, we're going to do a nonfiction story, and we're going to kind of use that to build for the rest of the week. Sorry that that's backwards for you. This book is nonfiction. You can see that with some clues on the front cover. It has real photographs, so while it does tell us the author, which it says Karen Zipkas and Mark Norman, it doesn't have an illustrator because there are no pictures that are drawn in this story. Okay, it also tells us up here that it's informational nonfiction. Now, not all books are going to have that, but that is a good way to tell with this reader that it is a nonfiction story. So what does nonfiction mean? Nonfiction means that we're going to learn facts. We're not going to have characters like we had in our fiction stories. We're not going to have a problem that we have to try to fix or the characters are trying to solve, but we're going to learn things. We're going to learn those facts that are true no matter who says them. So if I tell you something about the rainforest, or your parents tell you something, or you look it up on the internet, or you watch a movie, okay, they're always true. Those are nonfiction facts. So we're going to be listening for facts that we can learn about the rainforest today. There's another reason that I chose this book is because I want to start talking about habitats. Habitats are a place that an animal or a human, because humans are animals, that they live. And if it's a habitat, it has to supply the animal with things it needs to survive. So it has to be able to supply water, it has to supply food, and it has to supply shelter. Now, shelter doesn't always have to come with a roof like our house does, but it has to be a protection from like weather, like a tornado or a storm. It has to give them something to stay safe under. So animals aren't going to have a house like we have, but they do have homes that keep them safe whenever the weather changes. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the video around. We're going to read this story. And like I said, we're going to kind of use this for a basis for the rest of the week. The Rainforest by Karen Zipkas and Mark Norman. Another feature of the nonfiction book is that we start with the table of contents. The table of contents is there to tell you where different chapters or different sections in the book start. If you wanted to learn about trees and how the trunks help them, then you could go to chapter 3 and just start on page 8. The other part of this book that shows us that it's nonfiction is the glossary or index that we see down here. The glossaries and index are found at the end of the story, and they're there for two things. If I turn back to page 15, because that's what page it told me, then the glossary is going to tell us what some words that we may not be familiar with, what they mean. So when we're reading, if we come upon this word, it's going to tell us how to pronounce it, canopy, and then it tells us what it means, a treetop level of a rainforest, and where we can find it. So those are some important words to the story, some vocabulary words, and it also tells us what they mean in this context. The index down here is going to be just the page number. So if I asked you a question about poison dart frogs, instead of looking through a whole chapter, or instead of looking through the whole book, you could just go and find poison dart frogs in the index and read page 10. All right, here we go. Chapter 1. What is a rainforest? A rainforest is a warm, wet jungle. Tall trees grow close together. It is almost always raining in a rainforest. Now, just because these next words are blue does not mean we shouldn't read them. Captions on pictures give us information that we would not have learned if we didn't read the caption. The biggest rainforest in the world is the Amazon rainforest in South America. And that little arrow shows us that if we look down, that's the picture. Rainforests are full of plants. They are full of animals too. Chapter 2. What is on the ground? Many plants grow on the ground. Their dead leaves cover the ground. Many insects eat the leaves. Leafcutter ants cut leaves, then they carry them away. Notice when I started reading this page, I read this green up here. That is our heading. That tells us what we're going to read about in this section. You need to make sure you read those headings to know what that chapter is about. The giant anteater lives on the ground too. It has a long nose and no teeth. Its mouth sucks up ants. Now I'm going to read the caption. That's the blue part. The giant anteater can eat up to 30,000 ants in one day. Oh my goodness. And that arrow shows us that that's the picture above. Okay, notice there's no heading on this page. There's also no new chapter name. So we're going to still be reading about chapter 2. What is a rainforest? Oh, sorry, that was chapter 1. Chapter 2, what is on the ground? A tapir lives in the rainforest. It looks like a small pig with a long nose. It sniffs around for food in the dead leaves. The tapir eats fruits, grasses, and leaves. Notice if this is a word that you are not familiar with, it does tell me how to say that right after it. The jaguar, I'm going to read the text first. The noble king of the rainforest is the jaguar. Jaguars hunt tapirs, anteaters, and other animals. Now I'm going to read the caption. The jaguar stays very still once it spots another animal. Then the cat jumps on it. Some of my groups in school read a book about tails, and the jaguar was in that book. And this picture reminds me of that story. It helps me make a connection that he uses that tail to do what? He taps the water, and then the fish that are inside think it's an insect. As they swim to the top to get that insect, the jaguar pounces on it and eats that prey. Please notice the word jaguar here in the text is in dark print. Okay, that's a vocabulary word. That's one of those words, if you did not know what a jaguar was or you did not know how to read it, you could go to the back to that glossary and you could find the word jaguar and find out what it was and how to pronounce that word. Chapter 3, what is on tree trunks? A lot of beetles, birds, frogs, and snakes live on tree trunks. If you glanced up, you would see tent bats tucked under the leaves. They are hiding from snakes. A few tent bats can hide under one leaf, so they're pretty little is what we can figure out from that. That's a conclusion we can draw, an inference we can make. A gecko is a lizard. It has skin that looks like tree bark. This helps it blend in. A gecko cannot be caught if it cannot be seen. Geckos hide in the day and hunt at night. What does that mean? If they hunt in the night and hide in the day, they're nocturnal. Poison dart frogs gleam with bright colors. Their colors warn other animals to stay away. Animals that eat poison dart frogs get sick. The poison dart frog uses its sticky tongue to eat ants and other insects. Oh my. A python is a huge snake. It has a very large mouth. Its teeth point backward. Prey cannot get away no matter how much they have wiggled. The python uses its sight and smell to find its prey. Chapter 4, what is in the treetops? So if you remember, chapter 2 was what is on the ground. Chapter 3 is what is on the tree. And now we're at the treetops. So they've been working their way up the rainforest. Birds, butterflies, and flowers live in the treetops. The level of the rainforest is called the canopy. The scarlet macaw is just one bright rainforest bird. The toucan has a big beak. It does not fly, so it hops around the trees. Toucans eat berries, seeds, and fruits. I did not know that toucans could not fly. The toucan's beak looks heavy, but it is light. The beak scares away other animals. Why are rainforests important? Our beloved rainforests are homes to special plants and animals. Many of the plants are used to make medicines. Everyone should make a promise to protect these special places. The blue-winged butterfly can only be found in the Amazon rainforest. All right, so I want you to think about another habitat. Okay, we've learned that rainforest is a one type of habitat because that's where animals live. They have water, they can get food, and they have their home and their protection there. Like the birds live in the treetops, the anteaters live on the ground. Okay, so different animals live in different places to stay protected. I want you to think of another habitat. We're going to be talking about habitats this week. Have a good day.